Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and unless you've been living under a rock as of late, I'm sure you've all heard about the new Fire Emblem game that's in development. The name is yet to be released, but a teaser trailer did make its way onto the internet, and quite a lot of people are hyped as a result. Now, as for me, I don't really get hyped easily over new games anymore. I try not to jump on bandwagons and instead wait patiently to see how things unfold. Now, I am certainly excited about a new Fire Emblem game being made, as it spells good news for the future of the franchise. As many of you probably know, Fire Emblem Awakening saved the franchise when it was close to dying out, after Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon was deemed a massive flop. So while I do bash Awakening quite frequently for its many mistakes, I will give it credit where credit is due. It did pave the way for future Fire Emblem installments. Now, since my videos are already getting spammed down by Armageddon comments regarding this new game, I thought I'd make a video about it so you guys have a place to gather your gossip. Now, in the first part of this video, I'm going to talk about the trailer itself, as well as my opinions of it, and the things that we see in it. I'm also going to talk a little bit about what I hope this game will bring to the table. My predictions and, just if I think this game will be a good game or not. In the second half of the video, I'm going to be talking about Fire Emblem Awakening and what exactly it did wrong. I think that this game has a lot to learn from Awakening's mistakes, and I certainly hope it does. And I also know that a lot of you guys have been asking me about my opinions about Awakening. It's no secret that I don't like it very much, but exactly why do I dislike it? I think this is something that I could create a video about all in of itself, but I'm going to make it a part of this video. So I hope you guys are satisfied with that. Anyway, so about the teaser trailer. And now, it's important to keep in mind that it's just that, a teaser. We should always keep in mind that everything in it is subject to change at this stage, and that nothing is final. Still, we got a glimpse of a few interesting things that I'd like to talk about, the first being the potential main character of the game. So, while it's not confirmed that this is the protagonist, the trailer sure made it look that way, so I'm just going to assume for now that it's the case. It looks like we'll be having ourselves a female lord, and on top of that, she looks to be a dancer. Now, she's quite beautiful, dressed in an oriental-looking garb that's not too revealing, but sexy at the same time. If I were to make a comparison, I say she reminds me of Ninian from Fire Emblem 7. At any rate, I hope she doesn't fall into the same trap as Erika from Fire Emblem 8, in that she becomes a very bland female character without a personality. I hope they go out of their way to make her an interesting and colorful character, and not just another pretty face that does the right thing. Now, the trailer itself was very aesthetically pleasing to watch. We saw soldiers fighting, something that appears to be a stone giant, as well as some snaps of some in-game footage. Now, the game itself looks and sounds exactly like Awakening, probably running on the exact same engine, with many of the sounds being taken directly from its prequel. Now, I'm afraid this could potentially alienate some of the fans who weren't overly impressed with Awakening, but I don't think it's going to be an issue if the game itself is good. Now, I am sad to see that the pair-up mechanic still looks to be in play. Probably one of my least favorite features from Awakening. The pair-up mechanics simplify the game vastly by allowing characters to essentially babysit weaker units with no risk at all. The fact that the game took the rescue feature, which was already a pretty powerful tool in their right hands, and gave the rescuing characters bonus stats instead of penalties, as well as the chance for the rescued character to help out with a dual strike, simply made it too good not to use. I personally would have loved to see a pair-up mechanic scrapped completely, but, I actually would like to see a rescue mechanic not be part of this game, because I would love to play a Fire Emblem game without being able to rescue myself out of my silly mistakes and actually having to plan each move. However, the pair-up mechanics seemed a very essential part of Awakening's gameplay, so I'm not surprised to see that it's being carried over into this new title. And I guess I will accept it if the rest of the game ends up being good. Aside from that, there's really not much I can say about it. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more in-depth about Awakening and what I think it did wrong, as well as what I think this new Fire Emblem game has to improve upon in order to become accepted not just by the casual fans, but also by the grizzled veterans. Awakening's first issue: One-dimensional characters.
A story is only as good as the characters in it. They are the actors on the stage, and they define the story you're going through. If the characters are weak, it matters not how good the story is, because it will surely feel weak too. That strong, unique, and memorable characters are the recipe of success in the Fire Emblem games is no well-guarded secret. And sadly, Awakening just really fell short in this regard. My biggest problem with Awakening's cast are their lack of diversity. For the most part, they are very similar to pro wrestlers. They got a gimmick, and they run with it. Gaius loves sugar, and 90% of his conversations revolves around candy, chocolate, or other sweet things. Anna loves money and does not shut up about it. Frederick diligently trains and drills himself for the next battle, while Tarja stalks the Avatar and curses people. While there are occasional gems, such as the many supports revolving around Gregor or Donal, most of the time the character seems to do one thing and one thing only. In many of the other Fire Emblem games, you had to play the game several times to learn everything about a character's backstory. You'd learn new things about them through talking with various characters, and it made them feel a lot more real. I have issues connecting to the Awakening cast because most of the time they don't seem like real people. They are way too gimmicky and silly to be taken seriously, and it kills my immersion of the game. Awakening's second issue, Map Design. The map design in Awakening is atrocious. Nothing else to be said for it, really. It feels like someone just randomly added terrain to make it look visually pleasing, and then someone else came and placed your units on one side and the enemies on the other. While there are absolute turd piles of map design in the previous Fire Emblem games too, this one from Fire Emblem 3 receiving an honorable mention, you can excuse some of them for being, older than yourself. But even the newer ones had on average decent maps. I'm not going to go into detail about what makes a good map, as that could be an entire video in and of itself, but it should suffice to say that none of the Awakening maps really sticks out as anything special or memorable. Most of the time you're simply just surrounded by enemies and you have to rely on RNG or good stats to survive. Many of the older Fire Emblem games had a lot of strategic terrain and choke points, and it felt like the action was taking place on multiple fronts. In Awakening, I just feel like I'm mindlessly moving units towards a target destination while killing enemies on my way. It should also be mentioned that the winter maps are an absolute nightmare for a colorblind person such as myself. The bright color schemes makes it impossible for me to tell the difference between friend and foe. A new game like Awakening should seriously have a colorblind option, so guys like me won't have to mindlessly grind in order to overcome these stages. Awakening's third issue, the story. Awakening's story feels very segregated. You go to fight barbarians, you fight barbarians, barbarians join you. Neighboring country invades, you fight back, you kill Mad King. Another nation invades, you burn ships, kill conquer, they dead. In the midst of all this, zombies, time travel, kids from the future, you bang your best friend's daughter and turn him into a grandparent. Suddenly Grima, evil tactician brother who is also son of evil Garnet clone, suddenly turns into dragon. Fight dragon, kill dragon, everyone happy, the end. My greatest issue with this story is that there are simply too many stories. Why not just base Awakening around Plagia's invasion and have Gangrel be the main villain? Or at least one of the main villains? I thought for sure he was going to be one of the great baddies, and I was shocked to find myself fighting him so early in the game. Seriously, the game does a freaking terrific job of building the player's hatred for Gangrel up by having him act like a royal douche, and then just discards him mid-game as a mini-boss. What the fuck? The scene where Emerin dies is a frequently discussed topic in the Fire Emblem community, and I cannot for the life of me understand why people even care. It would have been so much more impactful if it took place towards the end of the game, after I actually had some time to connect to her, and not just view her through a handful of small cutscenes. Why should the player even care about Emerin? There is no reason to. She is not important to the plot, she's not a playable character, she's boring and one-dimensional as all fuck. I swear, during the whole thing I was literally sitting there going, is this supposed to move me? Hell, the music and the stage that comes afterwards was much more moving than Emerin's death itself, which should have been a huge fucking red warning sign. Now, take the freaking ending to Fire Emblem 4, now that's an emotional punch in the groin. I swear, most people who defend Awakening probably never went back and played this game. If they did, they'd get a real taste of what true storytelling in a game really feels like. At the end of the day, Awakening doesn't have a horrible story by video game standards, but as far as Fire Emblem standard goes, it's way down in the mud. Compared to Fire Emblem 4's story that spans across 2 whole generations, the marriage and children system where you get visited by your own kids from the future feels like a bad parody. I say leave time travel to Doctor Who, that's the only rare case where I've seen it work out. For everyone else, it's just a lazy way to write a story. I really hope that the new Fire Emblem game will learn from Awakening's mistakes. By the looks of it, they are really pushing the fact hard that they have a good story writer on their team, so it does seem to me like they're somewhat aware that Awakening's story sucked balls. Overall, creating the perfect Fire Emblem game shouldn't be that hard. You just take the good elements from the previous ones and mix them together in a stew of amazingness. Just don't forget about the essential ingredients such as good map design and good writing. However, I'm confident that just like Fire Emblem 12 fixed a lot of the issues with Fire Emblem 11, Fire Emblem 14 will remedy some of the problems Fire Emblem 13 caused. These guys are not stupid. Making games is their job, so we can only hope that they listen to their fans and give us a sequel worth remembering. I am certainly looking forward to this game. Even if it's a train wreck, I can still enjoy tearing it apart, right? Now make sure to like, favorite, and subscribe to my channel, and show this video to your friends so I can earn enough money for a 3DS capture board and make a freaking Let's Play out of this game when it comes out. As always, my name has been Mangs, and I'll see you guys next time.